Hey, it's Nikki. Before we start the show, I wanted to invite you to download a free resource that I put together for you as the listener. This is my gift to you. You can get it right now. It is the 17 buying signals. Now, I wrote a whole book about buying signals, and I wanted to put it into a really simple format that you can have at your fingertips or in front of you whenever you want to. So I took out the 17 buying signals from the book, put them on a simple PDF, also gave you the kind of what to do when you get a buying signal, and explain what a buying signal is. So that PDF is available for you as a listener to go and download right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/17. That's yoursalesmaven.com/17 so that you can start acting on these buying signals and closing more business. All right, when you're ready, let's start the show.
Are you ready to boost your confidence when selling so you're able to close more deals? Nikki Roush will show you how to build a foundation of skills and a mindset that creates sales success without feeling pushy or salesy and without fear of rejection. She is a sales strategist and coach with more than 25 years of sales experience and is master certified in neuro-linguistic programming. This is a radically different approach to selling. It's a no sleaze, no slime, and no stress approach to building your business. This is Sales Maven. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush. Today's episode is one of our Mastering Excellence series. So if this is new to you, this concept, it comes from my background in neuro-linguistic programming. It's where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you can understand the structure of how somebody is getting exceptional results in their life and or business in a particular area, you can then start to implement their structure so that you get similar results in your life and business. So today we are talking with an amazing expert. I'm so excited. My friend, Natalie Eckdahl, is here. Now, if you haven't met Natalie before, here's a little bit about her background. She's obsessed with helping women entrepreneurs retain more profit and deliver more impact. And she launched an award-winning BizChix podcast in 2014 to do just that. And man, has she. Okay. Since then, Natalie has helped thousands of women business owners by leveraging her MBA, as well as her corporate and small business expertise to provide actionable strategies for profit and growth. She and her team serve women service business owners through their group coaching programs. There's the Six Figure Lab and her Leadership Lab. As a wife, mom of 3 kids, ages 7 to 19, your kids are getting older, and a caregiver to her mom, Natalie appreciates how entrepreneurship can give you freedom of time to focus on your VIPs. She loves to drink steaming hot Ethiopian coffee, even in the summer. And last Christmas, she asked for an owl. Natalie Eckdahl, welcome to the show. And you know I have to ask about that.
I'm so excited to be here, first of all.
Man.
I just adore you, Nikki. You know that.
Same.
And we just have such regard for one another, I think.
Yeah.
And I was so thrilled that you asked me. And so, yeah, if you have any questions about the owl, let me know. What's the desire for the owl for Christmas? So we moved last year from Southern California to Eastern Tennessee. We're outside of Chattanooga in a mountain town, and we bought 13 wooded acres. And with that comes a lot of wildlife, including rodents and squirrels. I know squirrels seem cute, but when you have them everywhere. And so I was, I'm in some Facebook groups with my new small town, and you can learn a lot in these Facebook groups. And so someone was asking, they had mice or rats going on in their area, in their home. And they're like, what's the best way to get rid of them? And someone's like, you need an owl. And so then I was like, I want an owl. How do I get an owl? So I told Mark for Christmas, and I actually know you create a great space that an owl might want to occupy. So I asked Mark, my husband, for Christmas, and I was relentless. My boys knew exactly what I wanted. My daughter, everyone knew what I wanted for Christmas. All I wanted was an owl. So on a very windy day, unfortunately for him. So first he got and did his research, and he's a great researcher. He got us an owl box, like it's a nest that an owl could come into. And he got a big ladder, and he climbed the ladder. It was a very windy day. It probably was unsafe. And he put this box up. It's overlooking our pond because apparently they like to see their water source. So, and I will just say after Christmas, when I was on our property, usually I could hear, and we're recording this in winter. So the leaves, there's trees everywhere, but the leaves are now on the ground and crunchy, right? So you can hear a squirrel jump like every few minutes. Silence on our properity.
Oh, you got an owl.
I got an owl for Christmas.
I love this story so much. That's such a great story. And you know what's so funny is 2 days ago, my husband, who rarely ever comes into my office when I'm working, he comes into my office and he's like, I have to show you these pictures. And he's taken these pictures on his phone of an owl that is sitting. It's a baby owl, and it's sitting on the little, like the dish that, for our cable or whatever it is. I don't actually know. But anyway, and I'm like, I didn't realize it was a baby because it looked big to me. And he's like, no, this is a baby. And it just hung out there. And he was so close to it. And he got all these really beautiful pictures. So
yes. So I hope it also helps. So we have snakes in our area too. We've had a snake in our basement. I'm actually not scared of snakes because they move slower. I don't like rodents. I don't like anything that darts. But I figure if we remove some of the rodents around, the snakes will also go elsewhere. It's just going to make the ecosystem of our bit of the world a little different. And if you love squirrels, I mean, the owl didn't take them all out. They've moved to safer ground, right? They've gone into, we connect to like a big land trust behind us. So they should go there.
That's right.
That's where they're headed
for them.
Yeah. There's plenty of space, like thousands and thousands of acres. They should go there and not be on our little 13-acre property. So you didn't see that coming. I didn't see that story coming.
It's so fun because I'll bet not a lot of people know this story about you.
No, it's a secret. It's a good story.
It's a really good story. Mm-hmm. So I want to give some context before we dive into the topic itself about our relationship and kind of how it got started. I always like to give credit where credit is due. So this is for Julie Fry. Thank you so much for bringing Natalie into my life at a time that was so it was like one of those moments where things could go one way or they could go the other. And I know I've shared this story with you, Natalie, but Natalie has been so instrumental in the growth of my business. And she has been such an inspiration to me. When I first went to the first BizChix Live, I think it was in 2017.
It was.
I had just I was speaking at a conference where, to be really candid, I felt like I didn't know if I should be doing what I was doing in my business because the person who put on the event made the event so much about her. And I just had in my mind, in order to be successful in business, you have to want all the attention. You have to be the person on stage who's like, look at me, I'm such a big deal. Because that's how I felt like this event that I came from. And then I went to BizChix and Natalie came on stage and she made the event about the participants. She made it about us in the room. And I was so blown away by you. And I was so blown away by that event. And I was like, here's a woman who's so confident, who's so successful. And she's not putting on this, it felt like this big show. It just felt like there's Natalie on stage. She's one of us and she's sharing her expertise to make our lives and business better. And you gave so many other people opportunities to shine. I was just blown away by it and so inspired. And I've been probably your biggest fan since.
Well, I was inspired by you because you were making sales in the room. I literally walked over because we had met at Julie's. Julie used to have a conference called Business Among Moms.
Yeah.
And Was that the name of the conference or was it called something else? I don't remember. That was the name of the conference. Okay.
Summit. Yep.
Yes. Success Summit. Yes. So, we had been, I think we got acquainted there because we were both speaking at that event.
Yep.
And then you came to BizChix Live.
Yeah.
And I knew who you were and I knew you focused on sales and that was your expertise. And I was so happy to see you. Literally, I walked over to say hi to you and you were running someone's credit card on your little Stripe or little Square thing on your phone.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm so here for this. I love seeing other women make money. And so it was so fun. And you're just such a genuine person. I mean, we could go on it. We could spend the whole time just saying how much we adore each other, I think. But
I could spend a day talking about how much I love you.
I have learned so much from you. As much as you say you've learned from me, I feel like I've learned from you. And I remember, you've even just randomly come and you're so gentle in how you coach people. You'd be like, would you be open to a little advice on how to present your offer on stage? Heck yes, I would, Nikki. Bring it. So I love when you give me any advice around sales. And I love sending people to listen to you as well. And guess what's interesting? I am about right in 2 hours after you and I talk, I'm talking to Julie Fry.
Oh my gosh.
We are having her as a guest expert in our programs to talk about podcast guesting. So I love that I'm getting to talk to you both in the same day, which never happens. So it's a good day in my world.
Well, I feel so honored that you said yes to coming on the podcast and talking about this particular topic, because I think it's something that, well, one, I've been in the room. I've watched you do this with people. I have been your client. You coached me for, I think just over a year. Mm-hmm. I don't think you do this anymore, but I was a private coaching client of Natalie's for a little over a year. And it was an amazing experience. And you've helped me so much with this. So the topic that we're going to talk about today is specializing and niching down, which I think is really, really hard for people to do on their own. It's so helpful when you can have somebody who's so I'm trying to think, such an expert at it, or has the ability to kind of really see it. I remember being in a room with you where it was like a mastermind and you had asked me to come and just kind of give some sales perspective. This was in Seattle a couple of years ago. We did a one-day
mastermind in Seattle. Yeah.
And I remember you doing this with women in the room. And I was just like, man, you just have that thing where you're able to see through the trees and go, this is it, and I've seen their business prosper as a result of it. So that's what I want to talk to you about today is this, how you do this, how you get yourself into that place where you can look at somebody's business and really help them. Let's focus, let's specialize, let's niche down so that you're not trying to be everything to everyone. And I've heard you talk about this before, and I'm probably going to say it wrong. Is it the blue ocean versus the red ocean? Will you talk about that just for a minute? So,
yes. So, first of all, just to kind of share, because I think the word specialize and niche or niche, however you say it, I say niche, you say niche. It doesn't matter. It's the same word. However we want it, you can go back and forth and say however we want to.
Okay.
The way that I think, and I'm really excited to have you get into my head a bit on this, Nikki, because sometimes it's hard for me to explain how I do things and what's happening inside me. And I'm really working on pulling out this model because there is a model happening. That's right. And I hope maybe even by the time this airs, I will have it all put together. But when we specialize, we're talking about specializing by the type of work we're doing. So for example, in sales, there's all these different facets of sales, right? I could think of 10 different types of sales training or coaching you could do. Would you agree, Nikki?
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Another great example is social media. Right. So there's all different kinds of social media. You could do organic social media, you could do ads, and then you can also specialize by platform. Mm-hmm. So you can specialize by the type of work and niche I usually say by industry, by platform, or by, industry or if you work directly with consumers, it might be by life stage, a combination of, it could be gender plus life stage or generation. So it's really kind of dialing it in deeper. So you get the type of work either, and you want to try to specialize that. And then the next level is specializing by industry, or you could start with industry or generation and then go the other way. So there's multiple combinations. And then let me answer your actual question.
Yeah, you're perfect.
Keep me focused.
I love it.
But we talk about getting into a blue ocean, and there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, and the authors, I will butcher their last names if I try to say them. But for most small business owners, this is all you really need to know, is that when you do a lot of things for a lot of people, it's hard. There's so much competition, and it's hard to know how to refer you. So we all want to refer experts. When someone asks us for, do you know someone who does this? We don't want to refer a generalist. We want to refer an expert. So there's way more competition when we have a generalized offer in the marketplace. And it's also often when we do a lot of different things for a lot of different people, it also confuses those people in our referral network. It makes it hard for them to refer us because they don't quite understand exactly what we do and what we're great at. And at the same time, doing this work for yourself and in your business and narrowing, it's so counterintuitive and it's terrifying. It's terrifying work. So for some people, one, it's hard to see what they're great at and the specialty. Often it's something that comes really easy to you and you don't realize that it doesn't come easy to everyone else. And you're like, well, why would someone pay for that? That's so easy. Or I shouldn't charge a lot because it's so easy for me. So these are things that I love helping women on. And it's really great to do it in a supportive environment. I find it's very difficult for women to also see for themselves, but then the process is a bit of an experiment as we figure this out for people. And so it's really nice to do in community.
Yes. Yes. So I love what you said. Everything she said. Yes, yes, yes. And from the NLP background, when you talk about like those things that come easy and those are the things that you should be charging the most for, but you think, oh, doesn't everybody know this? That's that stuff where I talk about like 4 levels of competency, and the top level is unconscious competence. Those are those things that people will often comment on, and sometimes you kind of dismiss them because they seem so easy, but that's because it's so ingrained into who you are and what you're really good at, and that people admire or appreciate about you, and frankly will pay. And so that's actually the whole point behind this series of this podcast, is to really dig into how that comes about, what the structure is behind it for the person that I'm interviewing. So in this particular case, Natalie, about specializing and about really niching down, and how that's going to impact your business. So the goal, hopefully for you as the listener, that you walk away today with some ideas that you maybe hadn't thought of before. And frankly, if you need some help with this, here's an expert who's going to help you. Like, this is why you join Natalie's groups. And this is why she does it in a group setting. Like she said, like it's a really safe place, and you get other people kind of reaffirming, I think, for you of like, yes, I see that for you too, or I've seen you do this, or yes, like you're so good at this. It's hard to see that stuff for ourselves sometimes. Okay. So here's my first NLP question for you.
Okay.
So if I was going to stand in for you for a day, so I get to like take on the role and be Natalie, what would I have to do, or what would I have to think, or how would I behave when I'm working with a client to really get this idea of how to help them specialize and niche down?
This is good, Nikki. I'm so here for this.
Okay, good.
I'm letting you into my brain.
I love that.
What would you have to do? So I think listening is super important, and reading people's energy. So I do all of my calls on video. So you would do your calls on video, and I'm talking to the client about what they love doing, why they love doing it. I'm interviewing them about their work and past clients that they've had a lot of success with. I'm looking for something that, I guess I should say what you would be looking for. You would be looking for, I'm looking for a combination, or I guess I'll have to say I, and then you can translate.
Yeah. You're perfect.
I'm looking for something that combines what someone's great at, what they also love doing, right? So they're going to light up. I find when they start talking about their work, we're watching body language. 80% of our communication is usually nonverbal. So I'm watching nonverbal cues, and I can tell when someone's really loving what they do. And then we will talk about, and then I'm leveraging my knowledge of what the marketplace values highly. So I have this base of knowledge. So if I was to train someone else, I need to, there are some specific things that I know people in the marketplace are willing to pay highly for. And I'm looking for the match of that. So there's no point in finding something that someone's great at doing if they don't love it, or for delivering it to a type of client that they don't enjoy working with just to make money. That's not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find a high ticket offer in their business. And especially my expertise is helping people create really a leveraged offer where it's a retainer offer that they can get business for 6 months or more with a client, and they create this monthly recurring revenue. So really the base of everything I'm trying to do, my motivation is to find a business for my clients that is enjoyable, profitable, sustainable, and enduring. So it has to hit on all those things. I can do a lot of things that are enjoyable, but no one will pay me for it.
Yeah.
Does that
help? Yeah, totally. So if I'm standing in for you and I'm thinking about this, and now I'm going to ask you to apply this to your own business and how you do this for yourself too. And maybe it's the same answer, right? It's looking for that combination. I want to go off script here. So I'm going to, just because it's my show and I get to, because I think about, you have made some pretty big changes in your business in the last couple of years. And I've seen you go from having multiple offers, different ways that people could work with you. And that's not really the case anymore.
I actually laugh when I think about all the ways you could work with me. And I heard I was like, if you're a 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure entrepreneur, I've got a mastermind for you, or do a 1-day mastermind, or how about a strategy session, or a VIP day, or come to BizChix Live. Or maybe in there is make up your own thing, which it wasn't, but I was like, oh my gosh, that's exhausting and confusing. One of the things that I noticed as I started working with 7-figure business owners is that they did not need, I say zone of genius. So you say unconscious competence. Yeah. They did not need that. They did not need what I had to offer. They had strategy and specialization in place. That's how they got to 7 figures. What they needed was help with their team, which is why I made a very strategic decision in 2019 to flip my team member, Shelly Warren. I flipped our coaching positions in the business. So which I'm very proud of that I figured out and that I did.
I'm in awe of it, honestly. I really am, that you did that, because I've been having this conversation recently. As a matter of fact, I was guesting on somebody's podcast and they were asking me about selling your team. And the thing that I think gets in the way, you tell me if this is true, but I think that the thing that gets in the way oftentimes of selling your team versus selling yourself is ego. We know how good we are at what we do. And I don't mean ego in a really negative way. I just mean we know how good we are and we know that we're going to deliver, to our clients. And when you can take the ego out of it and you can position the right person for that client, then it's easy to sell your team. And I have seen you do this with Shelly, because she is so good at what she does.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
It's her. And actually that was what's been amazing about, first she was my client and then she's come to work with us. And she's actually been with us for 4 years now, over 4 years.
I can't believe that.
and has a second podcast called Stacking Your Team that she hosts under BizChix brand. And seeing her work in her best, where she's best meant to be, what is so easy for her, and helping her understand how valuable that is, has been such a joy. And watching the results, like the incredible results. We have clients in our Leadership Lab program, which she runs, that are like, so I basically have delegated everything and my business is running without me. Now what do I do? So all the people in that program have a team of 5 or more and are like high multi 6 figures to 7 figures. Some have multiple locations of their service business. They all have a service-based business. Yeah. But it's really incredible. There's something very satisfying. Thank you for saying that. I haven't had the right word. It was an ego. I had to check my ego at the door to make this decision. I appreciate you saying that. I didn't have the word for it. That's the word. Because in my industry of coaching and online coaching, the trend is to just keep working with clients that are bigger business, higher level, bigger business, which I can do. I can attract them. I know how to adjust my messaging to attract different types of people. But what I noticed when we were working with our mastermind that we had at the time with women in this category, I was drawn to anything that was strategic. Like, I think I'm going to start a second offer, or I was drawn to a different type of coaching, and I was able to sit in the room and see the value and the benefit of what Shelly was providing, and that they needed that. And then in the program that we had at the time for people that were really needing strategy, I was wanting to go into that program and be there. And it's just what I love. And then over time, what we've done is we've actually even specialized the program even further. The 6 Figures Lab program, it was for any woman service business owner. But once I figured out the business model I was teaching, which is a retainer offer, it's really best for coaches, consultants, and marketers and financial service professionals. So I've been limiting that. They also easily understand each other's businesses, so they're coaching one another in there. Like, I have an HR consultant, you have an HR question, she'll answer it. Or the employment lawyer will too. I have an employment lawyer in that group. People have marketing questions, and then the marketers are helping the coaches and the other consultants. So it's this really nice, it's a group of women that have an established business, so they are not just starting. And so it's really been fascinating to see how specializing, walking my talk, has really helped the business and the program as well.
Yeah. And so when you think about that, not that I'm asking you to share like specific numbers, but by specializing and again, checking your ego, be willing to say like, what I most enjoy doing and what I'm really good at is working with these 6-figure women. And I have this person on my team who is so good at working with the 7-figure and beyond. Would you say that has elevated the growth of your business revenue wise?
Absolutely, it did.
And then with the 6 figures of even specializing it even further, would you say that has also elevated the revenue in the business?
Yes, it did. It absolutely did. And just to share one thing we did, because sometimes we talk about making changes in our business, and this isn't something you can do 100% at once. We always need to take care and protect the business. We don't want to break the business. So you can break the business by making a big shift or constantly changing your business. You also can break your business by growing too fast and not knowing how to scale and not knowing how to do that, right? And then you can ruin your reputation in the marketplace because you're not delivering what you've promised. So in order to protect what we had, that is why for a time, Shelly and I both, for this transition, we took on one-on-one coaching clients, which we love doing. We love one-on-one coaching. It's highly profitable. But it takes a lot out of you, right? You do one-on-one coaching, you know what it's like, you've done it. I find that I add the most value early on in the relationship because there's so much strategy and tweaking that's happening. And maybe over time, I am providing support, but not as much of the magic as what I create in the beginning. That's another thing I noticed from having several one-on-one coaching clients. So the way I protected the business is Shelly and I knew how many one-on-one coaching clients we each needed to bring in to keep the business running where it was as we built and scaled these new programs. So they didn't start out with the number of clients they have now. They've built slowly and organically over the last 2 years. And then we ran Facebook ads last year for 6 Figures Lab to try that out. And having moved to, if you think about if you're going to run ads in Target, instead of targeting every women's service entrepreneur or any woman entrepreneur, we are talking to service business owners for coaches, consultants, and marketers, and like CPAs, bookkeepers, and that's it. So that made targeting ads more, laser focused, and that's really impacted the business to kind of specialize. And then people know how to refer us and not to refer us. And there were a few clients that I removed, like we just didn't renew them. So that was really hard because there were some people, so we said no. So there were people that initially joined the program. I had a couple clients I adored who were speech therapists, and I had one was a craniosacral therapist. They had they had a business model where they had to meet with a person one-on-one. They could not do work outside of the meeting that leveraged or have other parts of the offer where you're paying this amount a month. And I'm always trying to help people disconnect from how many hours it takes them to do the work. I want the client to not care about that. So that's something that I'm always trying to help people create, because then as you get more efficient with your work, you're not penalized for it. When we do hourly work over time, the more people we work with, we start to get penalized for that, as a service provider. So that's one of the things that I'm trying to help people create. And I realized that there were certain industries I could not do that in. So we had to tell clients that wanted to renew their because we have a 1 year it's a minimum 1 year commitment. So we had clients like, I'm in, Natalie, I want to stay. I have clients that are like, I'm never leaving you. I'm like, game on, let's do this. I'm like, but just so you know, when you do get to a certain point, I'm going to push you to another program because, but that was really hard to say, we're specializing more. And so this isn't a fit for you anymore. And here's why. And we adore you and love you and believe in you, but this program won't be what you need.
So I think you just gave so much gold in there was so much there. I feel like I want to go back and break it down sentence by sentence, but a few things as for the listener, I think some of the gold nuggets that Natalie just dropped here is that one, by specializing, it doesn't mean that you do these big, huge shifts that then destroys the business, right? That you make some plans and then you work towards them to really start to specialize if you haven't done it yet. And that you figure out who your ideal client is, who is the right fit for the program. And by doing that, it helps you target those people regardless of how you're going to spend your marketing dollars, whether it's ads or whatever you're doing to build, to bring leads into the door. And the other thing that I know from my background in NLP is that when you can give people this really concrete answer about who's the right referral for you, it helps their brain associate. So even if it's a really specific answer, that a lot of times when they're talking to somebody and they're like, maybe they're not this specific person, but they're so close that I'll bet Natalie could help you with this. And they'll still refer that person to you. And then that person, now you get to decide when you're talking to that person, whether or not they're a good fit for you. Because you want to make it so easy for people to refer you. Because I know,
yes, you and I both do a lot of referrals, right?
Yeah.
We know a lot of people that do similar things. For example, you probably know several people that do HR consulting.
I do.
Yeah. I have a client right now and she's in San Diego, California. She's specializing in serving lawyers in San Diego. She's an HR consultant. So it's so specific.
So clear.
If I'm talking to an attorney in San Diego that has a boutique law firm, I know exactly who to send her to. And so that's really what we're teaching in our program. I actually don't encourage my clients to run ads because it's interesting as a coach, I am teaching a business model that is not my own business model, which I think differentiates me from a lot of coaches out there. Usually people have success in what they're doing and teach what they were successful at.
Yes.
What I am teaching is creating a retainer business by offering services to clients. And clients most often grow their businesses through relationship marketing, through connecting with others, through getting referrals. Yes. So that is the main way that people are doing that. And most often on LinkedIn, which reminds me of our mutual friend, Louise Brogan. So when I first met Louise Brogan, who is now an expert on LinkedIn, she was doing any social media for anyone.
Yes, I remember
several years ago, many years ago. And from working together, we've helped her specialize on LinkedIn. And so now when you think of her, what do you think of?
Oh, LinkedIn. She's always my go-to.
She's my go-to as well.
Yeah, totally. I love Louise. She's always the person I'm going to refer for LinkedIn, 100%. So, and I remember when she was working with you and she did that transition with you by specializing. So, and her business has really prospered. I know because she's also a client of mine.
Yes.
And I know she's a client of yours. And so I get, some of the behind the scenes and I know how well she's really doing. And she is the LinkedIn expert in our group in the Sales Maven Society. She's our go-to.
Yes.
And I know she is for your group too.
She is, absolutely. And when you think about for event owners who want to bring in speakers or even local events, when there's like a Chamber of Commerce meeting or a women entrepreneur group getting together or co-working spaces, bringing experts in, you want to bring in an expert. And so the people that come to your mind are not the generalists, it's the specialists.
So it's so good. Okay. I know I was just on the first NLP question here. So I'm going to ask
you can cut me off, Nikki. No, I apologize. When you get two podcasters together, it can go long, but I will.
This might be a really long episode.
I can just answer. I will stay focused and answer your exact question.
No, you're doing, I think this is amazing. There's so much in here. I hope the listeners are going to love it as much as I am. So, okay. So here's my next question. What specifically would I have to do to behave like you when I am thinking about this idea of specializing and niching down?
You would need to think in a non-judgmental way because you're trying to help clients share things that they may not have shared before. You are multitasking in your brain because we're creating, in a sense, it's matchmaking is what I think you're having to come to.
Okay.
You're matchmaking the trends and what's highly valued in the marketplace with this person's passions, gifts, and talents and expertise. You're also looking for things that differentiate them from others in the marketplace, market space or marketplace. One example I'm thinking about is I've worked with several content writers who also have an expertise in SEO. Mm-hmm. And they sell content. They're selling, I'll do your blog post, I'll do this. Oh, and by the way, it will help your SEO. But what I know is that the marketplace highly values SEO versus having a certain number of blog posts a month. So I'm helping them reframe the offer to lead with the SEO. I'm going to help you get ranked in Google. I will help you get on the first, within 6 months, you'll be on the first page of Google. Here's how we do it. Mm-hmm. And it's through the content and optimizing, and they understand the whole ecosystem of Google and how it works, but they weren't selling that. So it's this matchmaking and also reframing. So we're looking for how can we reframe what they're doing and who they do it for in a way that the marketplace loves. So they're actually not changing a lot of what they do. It's just how we're looking, I'm trying to think about how can I make what your offer is more valuable to the marketplace.
Okay. So as a listener, Natalie, I think just gave some really brilliant structure to that. This idea of matchmaking, of really looking at trends. What do people value? What will people pay for? And then also, of course, with the things that are your expertise, the things that bring you joy, the things you enjoy doing, and do you need to reframe your offer? Do you need to position it in a way that is highly valuable? Which will people pay more for? And I think that is sometimes a really hard thing for us as business owners, because we know like what we love to do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to be the thing that people will pay the most for. And it doesn't also mean that you can't do it. It's how you position it for them. Because, this is my salesperson coming in now. Make it about the person, make it about the client, make it interesting to them.
Is it the same words they would use for their business and to describe their problem? I often hear people create offers or titles for themselves that no one else, it means something to them, but it doesn't mean anything to their potential clients. So we've got to really, and you're great at this too. How is the person framing their need and their pain point? I'm always looking at, so another thing that if you're me, or trying to work as me is, giving confidence to the person that this will work and sharing, I do come from having worked with many hundreds of women on this. I didn't just do it one time for myself and now I'm selling it.
Right.
So, which we see, like, good for you.
Does that count? I'm just checking.
Yeah. The gray hairs come into play here, which they are covered now and I'm blonde, but, having some wisdom and giving confidence in it, a lot of encouragement and belief that I think that, in the coaching, this is a very scary process for any entrepreneur to go through, even myself. And a lot of mindset work has to be done, and self and internal work to be able to make a transition like this. It's a big change, and it feels counterintuitive, and it can feel constrictive too, as well. People are like, well, I like to do everything for lots of people. That's what keeps this exciting for me. So that's what I hear. I literally just got off a call talking to a client about this. And what I say is, you can still have a couple other projects that you're doing. We're just not going to share that publicly. It's still going to come to you.
Yes.
So if you want to do something different, that's fine. But the world needs to understand very concisely what you do and who you do it for. And we want to find something that people will value highly and pay for.
Love that. Okay. So I'm going to kind of switch gears just a little bit.
Yes.
So when you think about like the goal and the goal of helping somebody specialize in niche, one of the things I heard you just mention is like giving confidence that this will work. Does that resonate with you? Giving confidence that this will work.
That is part of it. Okay. I wouldn't say that's the goal.
Okay.
I'm trying to help. The goal is to find that space they can play in that will lead to a business that is enjoyable, profitable, sustainable, and enduring. And part of that is making sure they feel confident to make the leap. They won't be able to do it if they don't feel I believe in them, which I do. I wouldn't be suggesting it if I didn't believe in it. But I am demonstrating the belief and helping them see the patterns. Usually this is all based off of, I'm asking a lot of questions. I will often say to someone, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions and I want you to tell me a lot of stories. And it may seem that we're going a lot of different directions, but then you'll see how it all comes together.
Yeah. I've been on the receiving end of that question with you, of sharing stories.
Because I'm collecting data. So sometimes, I remember I was working with a woman, this is a very long time ago, and she positioned herself as a marketer. And she was working in the nonprofit space, like in the DC area. And as she told me about her history, she had done a lot of sales work, and she'd actually done cold calling. And got great results. And so as a business person and a coach, I know that most people are terrified of selling, and it doesn't come naturally and easily for people. So on that call, and it was a very valuable strategy session for her, I literally was able to say, you are not a marketer. You are great at sales. You're a sales consultant or a sales strategist. And people will pay for sales before they'll pay for marketing.
Amen. Yeah. And cold calling, right? Like anybody who can teach you how to cold call with confidence.
If you tell me you know how to cold call and you like it, now that's something and I don't know how to describe this, Nikki. I am hearing things that are outliers. Maybe that's the word.
Okay.
It's different than what the majority of people would think and feel. So you love doing this. Most people don't say that. You're good at this. This comes naturally to you. So, and she now has a sales consulting business. She's had it for like 5 years. She's like, that was it. That was the missing link. So I'm excited. It was so, you could tell, like it was so fun. I love finding these things for other people. It's very exciting for me. I feel like another way I would frame it, and I don't know if this will help us, is I love to pop into a business when someone has tried a lot of things. Some things worked and some things didn't work. So I like to work with people that have at least revenue in the multi 5 figures. And then my goal is to help them get to the multi 6 figures so they can pay themselves 6 figures, 8 to 10,000 a month. Mm-hmm. So they come to me with all, like, it's like, I imagine it visually as like a puzzle piece laid out on the table, like a big puzzle. And like they've dumped puzzle pieces on the table, and some of it they've been able to put together. And like there's like, it's not even a half done puzzle. Like there's parts put together, parts missing. They're like, supposedly this puzzle goes together, but they don't have, this is how someone shared it with me. They said, you showed me the box. I was trying to do this puzzle and I didn't know what the picture was. And you showed me the box. You showed me the picture on the box.
I just got chills up my whole body when you said that. Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? Yes.
Yes.
I showed her the box.
Yeah. And what an amazing, like, aha, and such a gift for somebody to show you the box when you've been trying to put together the puzzle and you have no idea what it's supposed to look like.
It's so frustrating. I remember when I first started my podcast. You know, I've been podcasting for 8 years now.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it? I'm a grandma of podcasting.
Congratulations. Your podcast is like, well, it's the game changer podcast, I will say, for me, my business.
You're so sweet.
Love
You're so
it
sweet.
so much.
But when I started, I was trying to make money off of sponsors. I was trying to grow a huge audience and make money off of sponsors. Just to share for everyone, my first year I made nothing, $0. I know that. Yeah. Sucks because I'm used to making 6 figures in the marketplace when I'm being paid by someone else, or multi 6 figures. So very defeating. And at the time, the thought was like, build an email list and sell a digital product. And I was like, I don't even know what to sell. Like, I didn't understand what I was good at the time. And I didn't understand what I know now, which is what I'm great at, what my zone of genius is, what people will value highly for me, and that I will also love doing. So it's taken a journey to get here. But I just remember being so deflated. So that's why I like to work with people that have tried out some things and they've had some success, but they're just like stuck.
Mm-hmm. And
love getting my hands in there and getting dirty.
Yeah. You get to show them. So the 4 things I think I've heard you say now a couple times, the box is, the puzzle really is made up of the things that are enjoyable, profitable, sustainable, and enduring. Mm-hmm. Like there's your box. And you're going to help them see the picture.
Sustainable, enduring. Yes. There's something in there also about matchmaking with the marketplace and what the marketplace will value. And I guess maybe that's what makes it profitable and sustainable. Mm-hmm. Enduring is that it's something they're passionate about and love doing. So it's like enjoyable now and ongoing.
Yes. Yes. So these are questions for you to step back and even ask yourself right now with your own business. If you're listening to Natalie talk about this, what are you doing that fits in these categories? What is enjoyable to you? What is profitable to you? What do you think is sustainable? And if you don't know what the box looks like, okay, so it's time to get some support around that. And what's enduring? What is something that you're like, if I'm still doing this in 2 years, I'm going to want to beat my head on the desk. That's probably not enduring. Mm-hmm. But if you're still doing that in 2 years, you know, like for me in my business, I always say like the thing that I said this years and years ago, and I can't honestly believe that this is actually happening, is I was like, man, if people would just pay to ask me questions and I could just answer questions, that would be the best job in the whole world.
I think we like doing the same thing. We just deliver it a little differently, but I just love that because we're quick starts. And so, bring it on, whatever cold, I'll answer questions cold. We do laser coaching in our program. We just had our call yesterday, and I think it was, over 20 questions from different businesses, rapid fire answers. And, I just loved it. Like, it's my favorite day of the month.
Me too. Those are my favorite. My Q&A calls with the Sales Maven Society. It's like, just come bring your question and I'll just coach. And people are often like, I can't believe you'll just let people ask you a question you don't know what they're going to ask. Like, that's the best. Please just ask me questions. I have no idea where it's coming from or what it's going to be. I'm so in. So I love that. Okay. All right. So here's my next question is, when you're thinking about this, how do you know when you're talking to somebody, how do you know that it's time to pay attention to specializing or niching?
So usually a person's business is not growing. So they're feeling stuck and they don't know how to take the next steps. When you specialize and you found the match in the market space or marketplace where that is something that people are looking for, that business is easy and it builds over time in it gets a lot of momentum and it builds very quickly. And I've watched that happen over and over in all different industries, in corporate, nonprofit, small business, consumer. So I feel like people are at like a stuck point, or I'm really meeting people when they're at this feast or famine point in their business, right? Where I'm trying to help them stabilize revenue. And that's why our business model is this retainer model that I'm teaching. You don't need a large audience. You don't need a lot of people. Many of my clients don't have a social media presence. They don't need it because they have they're great connectors and they have people that know they do amazing work. So I think if there's something about their business is not growing, they don't know how to get clients, they're having conversations with their network and not getting referred.
Perfect. All right. So we're talking about, for paying attention, it's like you're not growing, you're feeling stuck, you don't know how to get clients, and you're talking to your network, but they're not actually sending any type of referral your way. Those are really good indicators that it is really time to specialize, or at least pay attention to, should you be specializing? What should your niche be? Would you agree? That's it.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Okay. And if you're feeling this feast or famine and you really want to stabilize your revenue, like, this is going to be your solution.
Yes. And what's hard is that it seems like the opposite of what you should do.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're narrowing your options, which actually expands them.
Well, that's why I was asking you at the beginning too, is how has this affected your revenue? Because I've seen you do this in your business, really specialize, get really clear that there's two ways to come in and be a part of the BizChix program and be a part of that community. Like, it's so clear.
Yeah. We're saying no to a lot of people. I've changed my podcast content. I've watched my download numbers do like a U in 20. If you looked at my download numbers in the graph from December or January to December, the summer is the bottom of the U. It's a very sad time when you look at podcast statistics, but what wasn't impacted was applications to my program. So even though my podcast numbers were dropping, which is downloads, which is a vanity number, right? Yeah, that's a vanity metric. Is. The thing I care about are the right fit clients applying to my programs and joining, conversions. I care about conversions and sales and profit. That's what I care about. And that was going up.
There you go. Amen. This is why I always tell people, like, build your email list. It's not a vanity matrix. Your email list.
And people were unsubscribing from my list too.
Yeah.
People were unsubscribing because they're like, And I even had some people that I've known for years. I have friends that are listeners that I've never met that have talked to me for 8 years on social media or in my email, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't listen to every episode anymore, Natalie, but I still love you." And I'm like, "I know, because it's not a fit for what you're doing. It's not. I know you're a product business. You have an Etsy store. You're a doctor. There's all these people that aren't a fit for, and that's been intentional. It's very hard to do. But it is so much easier. Like, my business is so much easier, so much more predictable. And that's what I really want for everyone. I mean, at the end of the day, my goal as a person is to help women have more wealth in the world. Mm-hmm. And because I believe as women, when we control more of the world's money, we can choose how it gets distributed. And I like the way women think and the choices they make. And I think it benefits all the world and society. And I'm also here to help women be okay with saying they want to have wealth, mm-hmm. calling themselves a CEO, and passing wealth on to future generations or to the community and causes that they want to support. And so that's what drives me. And so everything I do is doing that. And I'm seeing it happen. I think when you see the results of what you're doing, mm-hmm. when you start to specialize in a service-based business, so for my clients that are building a retainer business, they're starting to see patterns because they're starting to work with the same people over and over. So their work gets easier and more efficient, and they're able to share best practices from client to client, in an ethical way, not helping one competitor hurt another, but you start to see these patterns of what's working. For example, when I said, for my content marketers, SEO is hot. People mm-hmm. will pay a pretty penny for SEO. Yeah. And that is the way to build their business. And it will be so much easier if they flip the script really on what they're selling. And then they're starting to build a business, and they're helping other businesses grow their businesses. I think one thing that I've left out here, and I don't know where it fits, is I'm finding that as entrepreneurs, we often try to help people where we're at, mm-hmm. or where we've just come from. And to build a sustainable business as a service provider, you need to target people that are farther along in their journey. So, for example, if you are an HR consultant, you're not going to target a solopreneur. They don't really need a company handbook yet. They don't have to figure out all their policies and procedures. It's just them and a contractor. They need people that are farther along that can afford to spend $2,000 a month for a year or two, or mm-hmm. $2,500 or $3,000 a month. When you think about, even if you're some type of marketer or other type of consultant or coach, people that are farther along in their journey can afford to pay you. And it's not as much of a stretch. It's not as painful for them. So, when I was first investing in my business, and I probably relate, Nikki, paying for your initial expenses it's painful. There's not a lot to go around, and you have a lot of needs. Whereas when you work with an established business, or even a consumer, if you're working direct to consumer, someone farther along in their journey. So if you're a nutritionist, not working with someone, this is their first time trying to lose weight, someone who is trying to get healthy and has tried a lot of things and values what you bring to the table and your expertise, mm-hmm. that they will appreciate and invest in you, and it won't feel as hard for them because it's not their first time doing it.
Okay. So I want to dig into that just a little. I think there's so much gold in there too, but I want to dig in. And so I think, I guess I just want to hear your take on this, because I think sometimes we want to, I'm struggling to articulate what I want to say. To dig into this, I want to ask you about, I think sometimes there is a mindset issue that we want people to behave in a certain way. So we're trying to change their behavior, mm-hmm. Which I think can be a really hard uphill battle to climb. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm hearing you say maybe, or what I'm checking to see if you're saying, is when you talk about targeting people who are further along in the journey, people who have already tried things, people who have the money to pay you, that you're not trying to convince anybody. I mean, I say this in sales.
Yes.
Your job is not to convince people to buy from you.
They're looking for you.
Yes. Yes.
I think there's two things that I think I'm reading your mind.
I love it.
I think there's two things we could unpack there. One is that in talking to people farther along in their journey, they have more clarity on what their needs and what it's worthy for them to invest in. Mm-hmm. And so they will continue with that investment versus when we work with people earlier on in their journey, they may have a bad month and be like, I have to cut expenses. So I'm done with this. I'm not going to complete my 12-month contract. I just had a client that happened to yesterday.
We don't want those clients. We don't want those
you don't
people.
want to. And it's terrible. She had done actually a lot of upfront work, didn't charge an onboarding fee like her coach had recommended.
Oof.
So she really lost a lot of time and energy and gave this client a lot more than she'll probably ever get back.
Yeah.
The other thing is that part of this involves saying no to some people, and it can feel uncomfortable to women, especially, to leave some people behind. So when you have a high ticket offer and a high price retainer on, but someone's paying ongoing, they're successful. Mm-hmm. And there's some people that you want to help that you're not going to be able to help. Mm-hmm. And that tugs at our heartstrings as women. And what I am trying to help women do is to not make their business their charity.
Wow. That was I feel like that should be one of your headlines. That's such a stunner. And I have to say, I have struggled with this myself, especially recently. I know I shared with you privately that there were some big price increases that I did. And it's like that guilt of I really want to serve everybody who wants help with sales. I want to help them with sales.
I know.
But not everybody who wants help with sales is willing to invest or frankly can invest in it.
So if we help women build businesses that are enjoyable, profitable, sustainable, and enduring, they're going to create wealth in the business. So if this is you and you're relating to this, you can create wealth in your business that you can then spin off to go back and help that group or contribute to that nonprofit that's serving that group of whatever community that you want to support. And you can funnel the funds that way. You really can't have a nonprofit and a business in one. They're two separate entities. Mm-hmm. They're separate efforts and they're done differently. And I will also say people that will pay a premium for your services will do the work you're asking them to do. And they highly value you. And it feels very good, which keeps this whole thing sustainable and enduring. Because it doesn't feel good when you give someone a discount or guess at what they can afford and realize that they're spending money on something else that they should have really been spending with you, or they're not taking the work seriously. Yeah. Now we're not enjoying the work. And now you may not stay in business. And so now you can't grow and spin off profit and wealth that you could change the world with.
Yeah. Do you know that saying, people who pay attention? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's what you're saying here.
I am.
And that idea about that you can still have a charitable component to your life and the impact that you make. And it shouldn't be your business. That's not the charitable component.
Correct.
So I know one of the ways that I have at least figured out, found some balance in this in my life is now, because I now pay myself in my business as an employee, the way my business is set up, that every time I get a paycheck, I donate a portion of that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that 5 years ago in my business. But
it's amazing.
But I can do it now. And
Congratulations, Nikki. That's incredible.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think we're all clapping right now. That is amazing. That is such an incredible thing that you're doing.
And it does, like, it feeds your soul, right? For me, it feeds my soul.
Yes, it does.
That I'm able to make this contribution, with the idea too, that I keep thinking like, okay, so as my own paycheck grows, so will my contributions, my charitable donations will also grow.
Absolutely.
And so then I also think about that as I'm thinking about growth in my business, is that by growing my business and by elevating the clients that I work with who will pay, and implementers get results. I say that all the time. Because they'll implement, they'll get results. They're likely to come back again and again when they need that support with me.
Yes.
And that will then allow for me to continue to contribute more to my community.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. How do you know when it's time to stop?
Time to stop what?
Like this whole idea of like going down this road of like specializing, niching. What are some indicators that, okay, like mission accomplished?
You have a wait list. You're in overwhelm because you have too much work and you can't do it all. Which means next we start hiring, which is the next step of what we work with our clients on. So what will happen is business will just start coming to you. It will seem magical. My clients, especially that don't do a lot on social media, that have really a referral-based business, they don't really know how all the clients come. And so they just come. And so then you get to capacity. Really, the answer is you get to capacity with your current team. Then we start to figure out, do you love what you're doing? Is this enjoyable, profitable, sustainable, and enduring? Do we need to make any tweaks? If not, now we're going to scale that puppy. We're going to take that and scale it if you want to.
Right.
So I am all about people having the size of business that they want. You don't have to build a team. I have one of my favorite podcast episodes is how to grow a business like I'm talking about to 300K with just a part-time or one employee or one independent contractor with you. And it's possible in the types of, in the realm I'm talking about, the type of businesses I'm working with. But other clients, I have other clients that love being a leader. They love having a team, and that is part of their joy. And so we help them grow and scale their business.
I love this. This is so great. I feel like you gave us so much. And because I just want to check, is there anything we haven't talked about around scaling that you want to make sure?
The one thing I wanted to say is the work does not have to be hard. We are so conditioned that work needs to be hard.
Yeah.
And so when we help people get, and I'm sure you do this with your clients too, Nikki, we help you to actually do work that feels really easy. The actual work with your clients, it feels easy. Yeah. And that can feel wrong. And because we're going against a lot of conditioning that we've had in the world and in our upbringing, it's okay for the work to be easy and for you to make a lot of money doing it.
Yeah. So fantastic, because I think that does require some mindset work. And especially if you have some limiting beliefs around work has to be hard, work has to be intense. You have to be exhausted at the end of the day, or you didn't accomplish what you should have accomplished.
So people start doing busy work.
Yeah.
They'll start trying to make their business harder. They'll self-sabotage. So that's where I come in and be like, so what are you doing? What's happening here?
I remember when one of our first coaching sessions, you were asking me some pretty important questions about my business. And I was kind of giving you the well, I think it's this, or well, it could be maybe. And you're like, Nikki, why don't you know the answer to this? Tell me the real reason. And I was like, because I hate doing this part. It's so painful to me.
Yeah.
And you're like, why do you think you have to do it? Hire somebody.
Yes.
And that's when I hired my CFO, and it's been a game changer.
Yes.
We're still working together all these years later.
I know you are. It's amazing.
And she's like my partner in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
She's walking alongside me as my business grows.
Yes.
And thank goodness that you gave me these hard questions that I was kind of hemming and hawing, and you weren't going to let me get away with kind of half answers. You're like, why don't you know this? What's stopping you from knowing this? Why do you think you have to do it? It was so like, such a Natalie moment. I loved it so much. Okay. So we have a little section at the end, which is the little something extra. That's for people to get to know some things about you that maybe they don't know yet. If you're willing, I have some questions for you.
Sure.
All right.
Hit me.
Who inspires you right now?
Who inspires me right now? Really, have you heard of Dan Sullivan? He has a coaching practice called Strategic Coach.
I feel like I know the name, but maybe not. Tell us more.
Yeah, he's been a coach for 40 years. Wow. And I remember when I first stumbled upon him, he didn't resonate with me. His style is a little not my style. And he coaches a lot of men and women, but mainly men. So it's just different I hang out with women all the time. So that's my vibe.
Yeah.
But what inspires me about him is that he is in his 70s and still coaching and plans to still be, he recently created his 25-year plan.
Wow.
And plans to, in his 90s, be doing a workshop 25 years from now. And I love my work so much that I don't know why I need to retire. I'll have more freedom. I can have as much freedom as I want or don't want to have with my business. But I think I'm inspired to kind of flip the script on you have to retire. You know, my dad passed away in June 2020, had a terminal cancer, and I was had the honor of getting to take care of him and help him through that. But my dad never retired. He had his own business. And I remember my mom being so frustrated. When are you going to retire? And my dad worked up until he passed, basically, until he couldn't work anymore. And he had a business partner who was his best friend that made that possible for him. But my dad, I'm reflecting, why didn't he retire? He didn't retire because he loved it. He loved his work. He loved what he was doing. And he was able to do as much or as little as he wanted. And so I guess I'm also inspired by my dad. Yeah. But just finding another person who is similar to what I'm doing, a coach who has a group program, who's a quick start and a big picture thinker and strategic and a visionary. I'm really inspired by him. And I'm inspired by women ahead of me who are working and living their life, like a passionate life, doing work they love, being around people they love, being in relationships that are fueling their soul. Mm-hmm. So I'm really inspired with people ahead of me, and I watch people ahead of me, and I notice people ahead of me. And there aren't a lot of women in my family that I can look at that have a career like I have, or even really that had careers, like what we call a career. Yeah. So I'm inspired by seeing other women that have either businesses ahead of me and also women that are aging and on video. I love it.
You do?
Yeah.
I hear that.
I haven't had any work done. I'm sure I might at some point, but this is me with some makeup on. Yeah. I don't have any, it's all natural.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. I don't really enjoy going to beauty appointments. It bores me.
Oh, me too.
It's I have to get my hair colored again.
Dang it.
Whereas other people love it. So it's not my thing, but I love seeing women with wrinkles and doing their thing and putting their thoughts out there. Okay, that's a very long answer to a short question.
It's such a good answer, though. I love that. All right, here's a big one. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
I am very introverted, and I don't need to be around a lot of people. So I prefer to stay home. I'm not spontaneous. That may not surprise people, but I like to be in control. So I've had events. I will host things. I am outgoing when I'm around people, but I really spend a lot of time alone, and I'm very happy doing that.
I love that too. I feel like that's me too. Okay.
We have a lot of similarities.
We do. What's something exciting going on in your business right now?
We are hiring.
You are?
We are. Yes. They're onboarding. They're hired. We are hiring we've been operating on a skeleton crew. We've all been doing multiple roles this last several months. We are hiring 2 executive assistants. They are going to live. We've hired specifically for them to live in Nashville, where our operations lead, Tiffany, lives now. We both moved to Tennessee, not together. It just happened.
I didn't know that
the universe conspired for us to be in Tennessee together. We're 2 hours apart.
Okay.
But we're decided to form a local team with them not being by me, not in my city, in Tiffany's city, because she's really the lead for them. And so we're so excited to be onboarding. We're onboarding 2 people at once. They're employees. We just bought them computers. I'm like, it's just exciting. Like
exciting.
We've been operating without a company handbook. It's almost done. And it's been helping us. Like, we need some policy and procedures. Some things have been a little loosey goosey, and with the way we're structuring these positions, it can't be anymore. And we're also cross-training them to support each other. So in the past, like, I've had someone supporting me, Shelly's had someone supporting her, and now they're going to support our programs, but also support each other and Tiffany. And then we're also hiring an operations assistant, which will be Tiffany's right hand. So
wow.
Yeah, 3 positions are coming into the business. So it's so exciting. And then I'm also very excited about the longevity of people that have worked on my team. So I have Tiffany and Shelly have both been with me for 4 years, and Elizabeth Cook, who helps me run Six Figures Lab and has everyone's positions have evolved over time. But Elizabeth's been with me for 3 years, and it's just like such an amazing sisterhood we have, and we just care deeply about each other. And I love the team. Really, my biggest job right now is sustaining the team and creating, like, as much as I've created, I didn't realize what I was creating. I am serving my clients, and that is my huge joy. But an even greater joy that's a little closer to my heart is providing high-paying jobs to other women.
That seems so in alignment. You also, and I'm not surprised about the longevity of the people on your team, and also the longevity of the people who are in your community, because you are a community builder. Like, that is, I think, one of your super talents.
My superpowers. Yeah.
I should probably we should have you come back and talk about that around community, because you attract really amazing people. I will say that I feel really blessed with the people I am surrounded with, and a good portion of them I met because I went to BizChix Live, and because I know you, and because I've been on your podcast. I've like, my community is such a big part of, like, I feel like my community is like an offshoot because of BizChix. It's like, we're
so sweet.
We're like there's
a few, there's a few businesses that I think that's another, like, thing I didn't intend to happen, but it's happened. I have been able to leverage the community I brought together to help a few other amazing women entrepreneurs build their communities. And it's so incredible. It's actually, the word matchmaking is coming up for me again, because that is something I've done my entire life. I help people find best friends all the time.
Yeah.
I will connect people and be like, you guys should work together. You'll like each other. And I sometimes feel left out. I'm like, dang, where's my bestest friend? It's like, I'm helping people. But it's literally something I've done. I remember in high school, I did this, and I created community in high school. We weren't the most popular group, but we had a group, and I was kind of the social coordinator for what we were doing on the weekend.
Well, I think about that with Jacqueline and Mina, right? And this amazing thing that they have built. Like, you put them together.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just never know but I mean, it is, we really do help women. We added into our core values. And one of the things we say that we do is we help women find friendship.
Yeah.
And often we're working with women that don't feel connected to other women in their area. And we help women find each other, that they have a hard time finding each other on their own.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting to be able to do that. And it's such an honor. But yeah, there's some kind of this matchmaking word I have not had before. So I feel like I'm very excited about this. I
wrote that word down when you were saying it, because I feel like that is so in alignment with you. I met my conference bestie at BizChix 2017, which is Amber Holly. And we have developed this amazing friendship. And it was all
wonderful.
Because, we got to sit next to each other at this event and get to know each other. And you did things to build community at the table for people. And so community is your thing. Okay. I'm like totally getting off base there. All right. Here's my last question for you. And then we'll let you go, because I know we've been going for a long time. How can people listening right now connect with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
The best way is to listen to the podcast. Search for BizChix, BizChix, in your podcast app. And we have the BizChix podcast. And if you're hiring at all or leading a team, listen to Stacking Your Team, which is our other podcast. And then if this content resonated with you, we are hosting an upcoming workshop if you're listening in real time. If you go to bizchix.com/workshop, you can see this workshop. And if you're listening in the future, whatever workshop we are having available at that time, or if we're sharing previous workshops. But this is going to be a complimentary workshop where we're going to really go deeper on what we've talked about. And Nikki has helped me put a few pieces together of my own puzzle today. So I'm in the process of putting together a model to teach this. I have a few worksheets that I already have done. This is not a new training for me, right? What we've talked about today is what I do.
This is
so I have some ways that I teach this visually. I'm a very visual person, so we love having like great visuals, but there's some that we've now come together with more of a model that I feel like I can explain more concisely. So I'm so grateful for you, Nikki, your time with me and like helping me I definitely got some amazing clarity today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes. And please go and listen. If you're not listening to Nat's podcast right now, BizChix, go check it out, and Stacking Your Team as well. Incredible content that is shared on there. And I'm so honored to have this time with you. Thank you so much for being here. For you guys as the listeners, thank you also for showing up. I so appreciate your time and your attention. And I hope you found some real golden nuggets here with Natalie. She is a wealth of information. She's the person who, if you ask me who inspires you, it's Natalie Eckdahl, like for sure. I have gotten so much from her. She has been such a contributor to my success. She's been such a contributor to me really getting clear on who I want to be in the world and how I want to show up. So I'm just really honored to have had this time with you and to have had this conversation, and for you listeners to be here with us. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.